Hello and welcome back. This is David from the Personal Finance Squad. We just finished up exercise 19 where we went through the supplemental spreadsheet where you needed to put in items that were required for upfront cash to pay bills were inserted and line items that you will be putting money into depending on when the bill is due, such as child care or satellite radio or something like that for periodic. Now we're into exercise 20. And what we want to do is look at the budget after 3 years, just like we followed Jasper. And in Chapter 10, Jasper received a raise after 3 years, and you, by the way, have been rewarded for your hard work as well. So therefore, you are going to receive an 8% bump in your salary. By all measures, 8% is actually pretty good in most jobs, so congratulations, you've worked very hard. So now what you need to determine is what your new salary is going to be, and in turn, what your take-home pay is going to be. So what we say here is, now what? It's up to you. What do you want to do? It's up to you and your classmates and your instructor's discretion and what you want to do with that money. Now, what Jasper did was he consolidated his budget on top of receiving his raise. So we have taken the grid from the book so we can see exactly what he did. So Jasper did a lot of nice things here. So we talked about the emergency fund being paid off, and Jasper did his in 3 years for a 6-month stipend. So you can see here he chose $460 in his case. And remember, folks, the money that you've been provided in your salary is pretty similar to his. So this would give you something to follow and manage something that was familiar to you. So this is an attainable goal is what we're saying here. So he put $460 away a month. And now we say in this column that's a monthly gain loss, but it's really weird. This is a gain, right? This is very nice. That's a very nice chunk of money, $460 a month. At an increase of pay of $204, so you'll have to determine your increase, of course. Student loan was paid off in furniture and credit card. You, in your case, had a student loan and a credit card, and your goal was to pay those off within 3 years, just like Jasper. So again, you're going to have to determine how quick it took you to do that, because what you did and your fellow student had done, or the student next to that person, probably didn't do it the same way. Jasper removed his home phone. We didn't talk about that. He paid off his computer that didn't have interest, and then he reduced his cell phone and his cable in this example. So a lot of this will apply to you. It's all simulated, but you can see that by paying down his debt and choosing to reduce some of his expenses and receiving a raise, he created a lot of disposable income for himself. So this is where things get good. This is where the fruits of your labor and your discipline and hard effort can really pay off. And although this is a simulation, remember 75% of all adults live paycheck to paycheck. So the likelihood is if it's not your family, it means the next 3 people's families are living paycheck to paycheck. There's a good chance that your instructor doesn't know how to follow what we're doing here. So hopefully they're not in that boat. The reason we do this is to create options and live a better life. Okay, so let's go down here a little bit and say you have received an 8% bump as we've talked about. What do you want to do with that money? So we ask that question again, and we can see what Jasper did is he added pet insurance / wellness plan, which doesn't show here. Sports and leisure, where he increased his money because he was in a bowling league, so he tacked on $25 to pay for additional things. He added life insurance to his budget, which you did as well. Travel, he added $100 a month, and clothes, he added $80. So these are some optional things that we talked about in the exercises with you, and we have to see what you figure out what you'd like to do. You should pick 1 or 2 things because you have paid yourself, and when you generally make more, you spend more because you should, because you've earned it. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't also protect yourself. So think about increasing your retirement like Jasper did. He put $17,000 into his 401k. Now that doesn't mean you have to do that, but you have to think about it. When I get paid, you didn't know the money was there in the first place. So now this is like a little bonus to you. Make sure that you give yourself something for your hard work, but in the same token, give yourself something for your life later. It's a very important concept to get into now, and you'll be told that you can never put enough money away in life. So again, albeit a simulation, you got to get on that mindset. So we get to the last piece of this and we say, okay, what kind of money could you generate? So again, your budget's unique to you, but we looked at how Jasper did it and you followed a similar path. And so we ask a couple questions to you here, and we can see that Jasper definitely created liquidity because of his planning and discipline that I was just getting at. And we talked about having his savings in miscellaneous and emergency funds. And now when it came down for you and your exercises, you were given $5,000 to start. So did you pay down your student loan and your credit card and your car payment? Of this $5,000, you had to pay down a first month's deposit for your rent. You had to pay down some money for your savings vehicles. You may have to pay down some money to start your cable and satellite service, things like that. You should take all of those things you have to put up front and subtract it from this $5,000 and say, well, how much money do I have left? Okay, so now the next thing is look down here, and we even write here in this paragraph, the beauty of this exercise is that you can go back and make adjustments to your expenses and debt consolidation. So even though that you are down to the end of this exercise for this whole budget, it doesn't mean you can't make adjustments. This is why we simulate, so that you can do this in real life when you get a chance to do it. You'll be better prepared. So again, this is ripped off from Jasper's, but again, you're living off a similar budget, and you can see here that his emergency fund was paid in full. His savings was around $6K. He had miscellaneous of a little over $4. You guys don't have a rainy day fund, at least as a mandatory item, so we'll kind of dot this out a little bit per se. College fund, we didn't establish that either. You may have done this. And then there's bonus checks. That's almost $13,000. Keep in mind, folks, most houses require 20% down, and that's what we're going to get into next, is buying that home. However, it doesn't mean you have to have it in your particular case, but what you're trying to say here is I need money to put down on a house, and after I get in the house, I have to have more money to maintain that house. So there's a huge amount of other expenses that you have to consider when you get into paying for your own place. So you need money to play with, and when someone looks at you and wants to give you money for a loan, they got to know you have money to pay for things. They want to see what you have in cash. They want to know how much debt you have according to your income. There's other things that we'll get into. So if someone were to look at this grid right here and say, hey, this guy's got $16,000 in emergency fund, he's got $13,000 here, or look at the overall cash, and it's in the neighborhood of 20 grand plus 16, there's $37,000 here. And so a lender's going to go, you know what, this person's in good shape. And you know what, we're going to give him that loan. So we'll get to that later, but this is why you save your money. As I always say, is what we talk about in the squad, it's about having options. And this is what you will provide for yourself. So when you get down to this in real life, take this information and understand what you're doing and put this to practice. And you can start that as soon as you start working your own job, even if it's down at a local supermarket or a Dunkin' Donuts or something. When you make money, simulate what you will no longer simulate. You'll know what you make, and make sure that you pay for a couple things that it's your own money, and put some money aside, and you start that practice as early as you can. Okay, so that's going to do it for this section. We only have one more to go in the budget exercises, and that is exercise 21, and we just want to go through some real life things that people, adults, that have to deal with in life, so you can understand the types of things and the extremes they must go to in order to make it sometimes. You are starting from scratch. A lot of these folks out there, again, do not. So we will see you in the next video, and we appreciate you spending time with this, and we hope you had a good time doing it.